Hello and welcome to the Parker Files, where today we're going to be taking a look at the Hot Toys Hawkeye, MMS 532. This is the deluxe version of the figure and it's from the movie Avengers Endgame. For the packaging, Hot Toys have done a really nice job keeping the continuity of the Endgame line and still maintaining individual branding around each character. I really like how they incorporated the Avengers logo and some spacey layering into the image of Ronin. I don't know why the packaging doesn't say Ronin instead of Hawkeye, as this is the Ronin version. It may be because they never actually used the name in the film. I'm not sure why, but I wish it had have said Ronin on this artwork, as I plan on having him in my display as Ronin, but that's a small gripe. The image of Ronin looks fantastic. I love that moment when the trailer for this movie came out and we saw him for the first time. In that moment, I had hoped Hot Toys would give us this figure, as the way they depicted him in the samurai costume was mint. In my opinion, the coloring on this box ties into this figure perfectly. The gold is a darker muted tone and the outer sides have cutaways that reveal both the Avengers logo and the Hawkeye symbol. The back incorporates more of the galaxy layering we've gotten on all the Endgame line with the Hawkeye color branding, and I really like the look of this. Pulling off the outer box reveals the Hawkeye symbol on the front. On the back of the box, as always, we get the credits to the cast and crew who bring Hawkeye and Ronin to our shelves, and a large faded Avengers logo. Alright, enough about the packaging. Let's open it up and see what's inside. Here we have Hawkeye out of the box, and I have to say, this figure is exactly as advertised. Deluxe. And not just because it comes with a lot of accessories, which it does, but because this figure feels like it was given a little more love and attention than some of the other figures that have come out recently. The moment I pulled this one out of the box, I was thrilled, which doesn't always happen. So first impressions, they're high. Starting from the ground up, the boots are a split cut design, which is great, but they don't have as much articulation as you'd want to get from them. On the other hand, they are sturdy enough for him to stand on his own in some more dynamic poses, which you'll see later, and I really like that for the way I display my figures. The boots are nicely sculpted and the paint app looks great with some nice weathering around the soles. Moving up to the shin guards, you'll see the ninja style design for the Ronin outfit that are similar to his arm gauntlets, which you'll see later. The details and the design are perfect for this character, and I really like the gold accent tone they've used here. You'll also notice the small sheath on the back of his leg, which has some nice detail in it that can hold the small knife accessory that he comes with. The knee pads incorporate a similar samurai style look with some waffling texture, which again looks fantastic. The texture combined with the paint app really set all these components off. But what I don't like about these knee pads is the way they are attached to the material in the legs. I wish Hot Toys would apply the recent Ant-Man Velcro shoulder pad design in knee pads like Ant-Man's and Hawkeye's here. I worry about these staying on long term with constant articulation, which is such a contrast of the materials chosen for the legs themselves. The inside material is a nice stretchy blend, while the outside is a more canvas style material. Both are perfect choices for posability, and combined with the stitching details, they just look awesome. I don't know what these leg bands are in terms of function, but they are a nice detail that accent the overall look really well. Similar to the legs, the material on the upper outfit is perfect for a figure that needs great articulation. The underparts of the figure are in a textured spandex style fabric, which is perfect for movement with no fear of damage. The outer material on his arms seem durable as well, though I'm not sure exactly what type of material it is. It looks fantastic though. The outer vest is made of some sort of pleather, which looks really great. I'm not overly concerned with its durability, as it's not a piece that would be altered by posing. To date, I've not had figures that have deteriorated over time, so I can't speculate as to whether or not this material would fall under that category for concern. The zipper on the front isn't functional, though it looks like it is. This outer vest is actually removed by a side zipper on the left that is really well hidden. The crossbow on Hawkeye's left arm is amazing. You see some great fine detail in the arrows around the gauntlet, and it even has a string. They could have just sculpted all of this, but they didn't, which again says deluxe. I think this piece looks so good, and even though I plan to display this figure as Ronin, I'm a little bummed this accessory doesn't go with that outfit. The other thing you notice on this left arm is the time GPS on Hawkeye's hand. The paint app on this is a little underwhelming, and what I really notice is that the band doesn't look as though it goes around his whole hand. I'm not sure if all of the Avengers had one like Tony had when he showed it off to Cap, but that was the conclusion I came to. Let me know in the comments if you think that this is screen accurate. All the left hands are gloveless like this one, and the right hands are gloved with some nice texture and gold highlights. Moving on to the other arm, you see a 3-ring gauntlet. This is all one piece, and it does move a little as you move the figure around, but not enough to be of major concern to me. I think it looks great, and I love the paint app on it. Around the waist, you see some nice gold and silver accents and 2 pockets holding some of his silver throwing ninja blades, or at least that's what I assume they are. They aren't removable, but they look good. As always when it comes to Hot Toys, the head sculpt is what gets the praise or causes the biggest commotion in the collecting community. And even though this sculpt of Jeremy Renner didn't get the backlash that the recently released Paul Rudd sculpt did, it still did have some mixed reactions, and to be honest, I had and still have some of those same reactions. While I think this sculpt is really good, there are some things that just seem a little off, and to me, it's both the width of the face, and more than that, it's the eyes that are just a little off to me. That said, the paint app is really well done. I love the detail in the mohawk and in his facial expression. On an angle and from a few feet away, this really looks like Jeremy Renner to me. But this close, it's just a tad off. But still, it's a great sculpt, and by far the best one for JR we've had to date. So much so that even though I intend to pose this figure in the Ronin look, I've got plans for this sculpt, which I'll show you in just a little bit. As for a rating, personally, I'd give this sculpt an 8.5 out of 10. In terms of accessories, for a deluxe release, Hawkeye obviously comes with a lot. Some of the pieces are reused from previous releases, but overall I'm very pleased with what we get here. First up, we see the handle of the blade that goes in the sheath on the back of his leg. This slots in easily, and the sculpt and detail in it look good, and it's similar to the larger sword that goes with the Ronin look. But enough about little blades, let's talk about Hawkeye's main accessories, his bow and arrows. The bow is basic in its look, and it appears, to me at least, to be a reissue of the one that came with the Civil War version of Hawkeye. I don't have that figure, so if you do, let me know in the comments if you think that it is. It does look good, and I like the little dials on the front, but again, it's basic in paint app, and so as an accessory it seems a little ho-hum. But with the major coloring of this outfit being black, I don't think more detail would have looked right anyways. The quiver is on par in terms of design with the overall figure, and I like the look of it with the gold details. In this quiver we have the smaller arrows that again are basic in terms of execution. And you see the tips at the bottom of the quiver, they're just part of the quiver, not separate pieces. What I don't like about this quiver is how loose the arrows are inside it and how few of them there are. It just looks a little empty to me. The strap for the quiver is one of my favorite parts of the accessory. I'm not sure why, it's not overly detailed or complex. I just like how it looks. I like the aesthetic of it. The color choices on the buckles are perfect, and I like the weathering in the paint app. This strap works for both the quiver and the sheath for Ronin's sword, which we'll see later. There is a small attachment that you add on the back, and it works nicely. You see in this pose the articulation in the shoulders and arms, which is similar to all the Hawkeye figures we've gotten previously. Again, I'm thankful for the material choices that eliminate concern for these types of poses. You also see one of the left hands that Hawkeye comes with. The fingertip covers are pointed, which is a new look, and again, I think the samurai vibe of this suit is so cool and spot on in terms of execution. Here we have Hawkeye in his Ronin outfit, and I freaking love this. Again, when I saw the Endgame trailer for the first time, I hoped we'd get this look in figure form, and I'm so glad that Hot Toys delivered, and in my opinion, did so flawlessly. The lower body of this figure is the same, it's in the accessories and upper body where we see the differences. Starting off with weapons, here we have both his sword and smaller blade. The handles on these are similar in design and detail, and they both look great. I love the sword, both in design and the detail and pitting in the paintwork. It's such a unique weapon for a hero in the MCU to have, and I look forward to having Ronin with it on my shelf. The smaller blade is a nice contrast in terms of size and design. I don't see myself using this accessory, but it looks good. Altogether, this figure looks incredible. Here we have Ronin in another position, highlighting some more of the figure's articulation. What I'd like to point out here is the arm gauntlets and different hands that Ronin comes with. As I mentioned earlier, the arm gauntlets follow the same design as the lower leg ones do, and it brings the outfit together nicely. They are marked left and right, and I like how the hands carry on the gauntlet look and make it look as though it's all one piece. They are the same hand sculpt as the left Hawkeye hands, but with the gauntlet piece on top. Underneath, there's a really nice goldish brown quilting that again is just a really nice detail that makes this figure stand out. The vest Ronin comes with is finely detailed, and I love how it looks. The shoulders have a nice taper to them, and again, really have that samurai look that Ronin needs. The accents of gold on the bottom flap and in the shoulders, combined with the fine gold stitching on the sides, really bring this together nicely. The belt, which attached by Velcro at the back, is easily removed and reused when swapping between the two looks. The sheath for the sword, again, looks similar to that of the smaller blade, but it's how it goes on that looks a little bit off. It appears as if it's upside down when you look at the shape of the sword itself next to it, but it's not. The sword slots in nicely, and there's a small notch on the attachment that stops the sheath from moving when it's finally in place. The head sculpt for Ronin looks fantastic. I've heard some say that it doesn't look like Jeremy Renner, but all you see is his eyes. I don't see or get that complaint at all. At first it reminded me of Kick-Ass, but thankfully it's not green and it has a hood, which I think looks amazing. There's a nice wire in it which allows for some futzing depending on the pose that you want to put him in. So if the eyes bother you, you can bring it down more and make him look a little more menacing. Or if you want to see more of that face mask, you can bring the hood back slightly. Overall, I'd rate this look a perfect 10 out of 10. Even though Ronin was only in the movie Endgame for all of 5 minutes, I'm so glad that Hot Toys gave us this release and that they did it so well. The details on this figure are superb in my opinion, and when you combine the materials, colors, and posability options with this release, this is easily one of my favorite figures that I've added to my collection in the last while. So, all in all, after looking at Hawkeye and everything that he comes with, I'd rate this figure a total 9.5 out of 10. To close out my thoughts on this release, here's how I intend to display this figure. By displaying Ronin in all his glory, I can still use the best Jeremy Renner head sculpt to date on the Hawkeye figure from Avengers Age of Ultron. I know a lot of people don't like this version of Hawkeye, but it's actually my favorite version of this costume in the MCU. It has the comic coloring incorporated into the suit, and I like the long coat and accessories that he comes with. So, I feel like I get the best of both worlds in my display. But enough about me, what about you? I'd love to hear in the comments what your plans are for this release. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you want to stay tuned for more. If so, take a second and hit that subscribe button. There'll be more 6-scale figures and diorama reviews coming your way. Until then, stay safe and collect because you can.